Okay? So our midpoint formula is going to be x1 plus x2 over 2, comma, y1 plus y2 over 2. Okay, and this is going to equal our midpoint, which is going to be that big X and that big Y, a coordinate, and that's what we're looking for, okay? So our very first step on all these is going to be label x sub 1, y sub 1, x sub 2, y sub 2. Okay, well, I can go ahead and start plugging stuff in. So I got parenthesis, x1 is 6 plus x2 is negative 8 over 2, comma, y1 is negative 8 plus negative 3 over 2. And remember, on these, we can just type them all into the calculator, okay? I'm sorry, I feel like this is kind of far away. Let's see, I shouldn't have moved it. Bree's probably giggling right now, okay? Okay, so negative or positive 6 plus negative 8 is going to give you negative 2 over 2. Okay, which is really just negative 1. Okay, and on this, you can type all this in on your calculator and it will get you to the very last step. So that's what I would suggest, but do it your way. Okay, negative 8 plus negative 3 is going to be negative 11 over 2, which is still going to be negative 11 over 2. Okay, and that's it. We're done. Okay, so if we look at the next one, same thing. We got to label x sub 1, y sub 1, x sub 2, y sub 2. So we're going to have x1 plus x2 over 2, comma, y1 plus y2 over 2. Okay, and that's going to equal our midpoint, which is just big X comma Y. Okay, so my x1 is going to be negative 6 plus 6 over 2, and my y1 is negative 8 plus negative 6 over 2. Well, this is going to be 0 over 2, which is just 0. And this one's going to end up being negative 14 over 2, which is just negative 7. Okay, the next section on here, it says find the other endpoint of the line segment with the given endpoint and midpoint. Okay, so these are the ones where we have our formula and we kind of got to backwards plug stuff in. Okay, so we got x sub 1 plus x sub 2 over 2, y, I don't know why I keep doing that, I keep writing x, y sub 1 plus y sub 2 over 2 equals this midpoint, okay, which is x comma y. Okay, well, my x1, my endpoints are going to be labeled, this is my big X, my big Y. We can say X sub 1, Y sub 1. Okay, and there's a difference, and we talked about that. There's a difference between the X sub 1 and just a plain old X. Okay, so we can plug our stuff in where the stuff goes. Okay, so we got X sub 1 is 10 plus, we don't know X sub 2 over 2. And I know my y sub 1, negative 1 plus y sub 2 over 2. And my regular x is negative 2 over negative 5. Not over, but. Okay, and then this is where we kind of separate these and put the x's where the x's go. So I got 10 plus x sub 2 over 2 equals negative 2. And then my y is negative 1 plus y sub 2 over 2 equals negative 5. Okay, and then on all these, you got to multiply both sides by 2 to get rid of that bottom number first. I don't know why I crossed that out, but it's going to be negative 4. And then you got 10 plus x sub 2. And we subtract 10 from both sides. So I got x sub 2 equals negative 14. Okay, and on this one, same thing. I gotta multiply both sides by 2. So I got -1 plus y sub 2 equals -10. I'm trying to get y sub 2 all by itself, so I gotta say, instead of -1, it's gonna be +1 plus 1. So y sub 2 equals -9. Okay, and our very last step is to write these in coordinates. So it's gonna be -14, comma, -9. Okay, and that one I did a little bit slower than what, not like slower pace, but more steps than what I normally would. Okay, and some of you guys are going to need to do those longer steps. Some of you guys are going to be able to do those shorter steps. Okay, so for the next one, we're going to label x sub 1, y sub 1, and we got our big X and our big Y. Okay, so I got x1 plus x2 over 2 equals x, regular x. y1 plus y2 over 2 equals y. Okay, so I got 1 plus x sub 2 over 2 equals 7. And -1 plus y sub 2 over 2 equals 2. Okay, we gotta multiply both sides by 2 to get rid of that 2 on the bottom. So I got 1 plus x sub 2 equals 14. And then my very last step is going to be, and I'm going to fix that, to say, well, -1 on both sides. X sub 2 equals 13. Okay, and on this side, I got to multiply by 2, multiply by 2. Okay, so I got 2 times 2, that gave me 4, and then we're going to add 1 to both sides. So y sub 2 equals 5. And then my last step is to put these in coordinates, so 13, 5. Okay, and then the very last section on here is distance, and this is the most recent, so it should not take you long. And these ones are the ones where you can type it in on the calculator. Okay, so our formula is going to be d equals square root, remember you got to make a really big one, okay, of parenthesis x sub 2 minus x sub 1 squared plus y2 minus y sub 1 squared. Okay, so we can go ahead and label x sub 1, y sub 1, x sub 2, y sub 2. So we're going to have d equals big old square root. X sub 2, okay, is going to be -2 minus x sub 1 is 3 squared plus x, y sub 2, -8 minus 8, close it, square it. Okay, and we always have to do the inside of the parentheses first. This one I'm doing the longer way. Right here is when you can type this in on your calculator. And I'll show you where it's going to get you to. But, so we got -2 minus 3 is going to be -5 squared plus -16 squared. Okay. So you got d equals, well, 5 squared is going to be 25 plus 16 squared is going to be 256. Okay, and then we can add those. So you get 281. And then on our calculator, we type in the square root of 281, and you got to hit that SD button. Okay, and it's going to give you d equals 16.76. Okay, and we talked about this, but it should look like money. Okay? So that will get you all the way to either here, okay, and you can hit that S to D button, and that will get you here. Okay, so it saves you a lot of steps doing it on the calculator for sure. Make sure you use it right and type in the minuses and the parentheses correctly, otherwise it's not going to work. Okay, so this one we're going to say x sub 1, y sub 1, x sub 2, y sub 2. So I got D equals, it's going to be -7 minus -5 squared plus 5 minus -8 squared. And I'm going to just go ahead and take these minuses and turn them into a plus. And then I can type it in on a calculator. So I got -7 plus 5, close parentheses, squared, plus 5 plus 8, close parentheses, squared. So it gave me on my calculator square root of 173. And now I can hit that SD button, and it's going to give me 13.15. And I want it to look like money, so I'm going to leave it like that. Okay, you guys have the rest of all the evens to do. Finish them, and then tomorrow you'll have a much shorter review, but it's going to look a lot like what your quiz is going to look like, okay, or your test. Okay, and have a good day.